The war in Ukraine is still raging. May 30th, 2026. Lyman direction. Fatum unit, 3rd Army Corps. And this is what total drone saturation looks like from above. Fields, tree lines, bushes, shelters. Every inch of this sector is being watched. Russian assault groups moving in, one after another, believing they've found a gap, a blind spot, a moment where the drone operators aren't looking. There are no blind spots. There are no moments. Watch these final frames carefully. Each soldier, spotted, tracked, struck. The terrain changes, the outcome doesn't. Fatum holds this sector the same way every day, completely and without exception. In this footage, a Russian soldier tries to escape an FPV drone from Ukraine's Signum Battalion after encountering it in a wooded area. He sprints through the trees, using every bit of speed he has to shake off the drone. But the terrain offers little advantage. The drone operator is highly experienced and knows the area well. Despite carrying a weapon, the soldier never finds a good opportunity to stop and fire. In the end, he is unable to escape, becoming the drone's target. Signum Battalion continued targeting other Russian soldiers in the same area with FPV drones. The footage shows troops moving through the battlefield while remaining highly vulnerable to drone surveillance and strikes as they attempt to reach new positions. Again and again, newly arrived soldiers are seen following the same routes and facing the same dangers. Why do these repeated patterns continue despite the constant threat from above? In the Donetsk region, a Russian soldier was spotted crossing barbed wire belonging to Ukrainian defensive positions by reconnaissance drones from the 414th UAV Brigade, Magyar Birds. Unaware that an FPV drone was already closing in on him, he continued walking in a surprisingly calm manner. Moments later, he noticed the approaching drone and began running toward the nearest tree line. But the drone was too fast, and he failed to reach cover before being hit. Watch these soldiers carefully. Sent forward alone, across open terrain, toward Ukrainian defensive positions. Not one of them reaches a Ukrainian soldier. Not one fires a shot in a direct engagement. Located, tracked, and struck entirely by drones before any ground contact happens. This is what the front line has become. Russian soldiers are being removed from the battlefield before they ever see the force opposing them. When infantry is stopped entirely by drones before reaching any defensive position, has ground combat on this front fundamentally changed? Solidar to Bakhmut direction. Ukraine's 30th Mechanized Brigade uses a fiber-optic FPV drone to enter a hangar used by Russian soldiers as a rest area. The drone flies inside and locates the soldiers sheltering there. A Russian soldier throws a stick at an attacking Ukrainian FPV drone from the 413th Raid Regiment, attempting to stop it from striking his supply truck. The effort proves unsuccessful. This Russian soldier chose a cemetery as his hiding place, but he was unable to evade Ukrainian drones equipped with thermal cameras. Once detected, there was little he could do to avoid becoming a target. One of the most desperate moments on this front. A Russian soldier moving alone across open terrain, spotted by an Omega unit drone from kilometers away. He has no idea he's being watched. No cover, no support, no awareness of what's tracking him from above. The drone closes the distance, ammunition dropped from altitude. In open terrain like this, there is simply nowhere to go. Ukraine's 42nd Mechanized Brigade FPV drone striking a Russian military vehicle moving along the front. Multiple soldiers hit in the initial strike. The vehicle is stopped. Then, they come back, returning to retrieve equipment from the vehicle. The second drone was already waiting. SBU Alpha unit, Special Operations Forces, targeting Russian rear logistics. Over 500 confirmed strikes in a single week. Trucks, transport vehicles, equipment, all hit deep behind the front line, where Russian command assumed supply operations were running safely. 500 strikes in 7 days. That's over 70 per day, every day, sustained. Not a single operation. A systematic, relentless campaign against everything moving toward the front. When Special Operations Forces confirm over 500 logistic strikes in a single week, how much of Russia's rear supply network is actually still functioning? In this footage, a Russian SUV hit an anti-tank mine and was blown to pieces. You can see the wreckage, with smoke rising from it, in a field about 100 meters away. The cameraman was lucky, of course, but he's definitely going to suffer from a concussion. South-Slobozhansky direction, STRELI border unit, systematically working Russian logistics routes. 6 vehicles destroyed in this operation. Among them, a transport carrying Russian UAV crews and a fuel truck with a PMM tank. Not random targets. The vehicles that keep Russian drone operations running and frontline units mobile. Russian forces rely on electronic warfare systems to protect these convoys. The fiber-optic drones bypass jamming entirely. No signal to disrupt, no frequency to block. Every fuel truck that doesn't arrive means vehicles that don't move. Every UAV crew transport struck is a drone team that doesn't reach its launch position. Anti-tank mines dropped from drones. Ghost unit, 41st Mechanized Brigade, targeting abandoned buildings used as Russian positions in the Kupyansk direction. Watch the impact. This isn't a standard FPV strike. The destructive force is on a completely different level. Buildings that would survive a direct FPV hit don't survive an AT mine dropped from above. Russian soldiers who thought the structure offered protection had no answer for what came through the roof. Taganrog Military Airfield, inside Russia. 22142 long-range maritime patrol aircraft destroyed on the ground. And an Iskander ballistic missile system taken out at its launch position. The 2142 is a strategic-grade aircraft built on the 295 bomber platform, used for anti-submarine warfare and long-range maritime surveillance. 2 of them gone in a single night. The Iskander that was sitting ready to launch cruise missiles at Ukrainian cities, also gone. 1 airfield, 2 aircraft, 1 missile system, all in the same strike package. When long-range patrol aircraft and ballistic missile systems are destroyed at a Russian military airfield in a single night, how does Russia protect its rear area assets from here? Vovchansk direction. The Wolfhounds, 57th Motorized Brigade, watching Russian forces assemble a makeshift bridge. Improvised materials cobbled together, trying to create a crossing point. The operators waited, let them finish. Let them move it into position at the river crossing. Then the drones went in. The bridge destroyed before it could be used. And on the way down, triggering anti-personnel mines along the route. Russia spent time and resources building something that lasted exactly as long as it took Ukrainian drone operators to decide the moment was right. One night, 3 oil targets, all burning. A Shadow Fleet oil tanker struck. The Kurgan oil depot in Taganrog, Russia, hit. The Feodosia Marine Oil Terminal in Crimea, taken out. This is part of Ukraine's systematic campaign against Russian oil infrastructure. Shadow Fleet tankers are how Russia moves oil while avoiding Western sanctions. Taganrog feeds fuel to Russian military operations in the south. Feodosia is a critical supply node for forces across Crimea. 3 strikes, 3 locations. All part of 23 military targets hit in a single night by Ukraine's unmanned systems forces. All these attacks raise a single question. Is the Russian air defense system now completely ineffective? Ukraine's Azov First Corps air defense, and the May numbers tell the full story. 2,600 fixed-wing strike drones intercepted, 774 copter-type strike drones, 157 fixed-wing reconnaissance drones, 116 copter reconnaissance drones. In a single month, that's nearly 3,650 Russian drones that were heading somewhere and didn't arrive. Every Shahed, every Gerber, every reconnaissance system that was supposed to feed targeting data or strike Ukrainian positions, stopped by a single cause. This is what the defensive side of the drone war looks like. For every drone you see striking Russian positions in this footage, there are dozens being intercepted above Ukrainian cities and military positions that never make the headlines. That's everything for today. May 30th, 2026. Day 1557 of this war. Russian total losses have now crossed 1,362,030 personnel. May 2026 is on track to be one of the costliest months for Russian forces since the war began, with drone strikes alone accounting for over 9,000 personnel losses this month. Overnight, Ukrainian unmanned systems forces struck 23 military targets in a single night, including two Tu-142 long-range maritime patrol aircraft and an Iskander ballistic missile system destroyed at Taganrog military airfield inside Russia. A Shadow Fleet oil tanker, 2 oil depots, and a Crimean marine oil terminal were also struck. The Taganrog airfield operation alone removed aircraft capable of strategic maritime surveillance and a ballistic missile system from the battlefield in one strike package. On the front, 28 Russian air defense elements destroyed in May. SBU Alpha confirmed over 500 logistics strikes in a single week. Azov First Corps intercepted nearly 3,650 Russian drones in May alone. The front holds. The drone war never stops. Subscribe for daily Frontline coverage. No agenda, just the facts. See you in the next one.